Hey everyone, welcome to the PD preview for Intro to Data Science. As you guys saw when you were signing up, this course requires a little bit of prior knowledge. We recommend that you have some experience in a typed programming language like JavaScript, Java, Python, and ideally that you have some experience writing functions. This course is going to be run in Python in a Google Colab notebook, which is not what we're using right now. And I just want to go through like the Python syntax for writing functions. So if there is anyone who has never done this before or you're not familiar with Python syntax, you can start getting used to that. If you have never written in Python before, there are some links in this code to different resources you can use just to familiarize yourself with the syntax. Like with most programming languages, the general concepts are the same, but if you're used to, let's say, JavaScript, it's just going to look a little bit different. I recommend that you guys open up this starter code that's linked in your email, and if at all possible, try and organize your screen so you have two windows next to each other, one playing the video and one that has the starter code in it. I'm going to go ahead and actually make my text a little bit bigger because I know it's going to be hard to see if you guys are squinting at this in a very small screen. Perfect. That looks like it's probably pretty good. All right, so we're going to go through this brief code along, and then as you can see, there's a bunch of different resources for you guys to practice. All of this is entirely optional, so feel free to try to whatever degree you feel comfortable, and once you feel good, you don't have to submit this. It's, again, completely optional, but you're welcome to stop. If at any point you have questions on some of the challenges, feel free to reach out in an email. I'm happy to help you troubleshoot, just so that you will feel as prepared as possible going into our session. So we're going to code 3 functions together. Remember that you can always pause, slow down, or rewatch this video at any time if I'm moving too fast. The first function that we are going to write is going to be a very simple function just to get used to the syntax that is just going to return the statement hello world. And we're going to practice defining and then calling this function. So I'm going to drop down to the line right underneath this comment, and I'm going to start by defining my function with the word def, which is always how I'm defining functions in Python. Now, as you're probably familiar with from other languages, the next thing that I need is the name of my function, and I'm just going to call it hello world with an underscore. Python uses snake casing and not camel casing, which is why you're going to see a lot of underscores. From there, I'm going to have the parentheses that tell us we're working with a function, a colon, which is very important, and then I'm going to drop down a line. You'll notice that once I drop down a line, I am indented in like one tab, and that is because Python really cares about white space. In languages like JavaScript and even Java, we use those curly braces to decide where things begin and end. In Python, it uses white space. So anything that is tabbed under to this level, like the one tab in, or more if we end up adding other things to it later, it knows is a part of the hello world function. And again, the only thing I want to do is return the string hello world, and I can put an exclamation on there if I want. Now, if I run this program, nothing is going to happen because, as with other languages you've worked in, I have defined the function, but I have yet to call it. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to print, which is just going to make this show up in my console, the result of my hello world function. And notice I am typing the function name and then the parentheses since I just want this to run immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and you'll see that now in my console it is going to tell me hello world. You'll also notice that when I called this function, it is not indented underneath my function definition. It is completely in line with the function definition, which is how the computer knows it's not a part of that function. It is something that is just running separately. So let's give another one a try because this function is really boring. There's honestly not a lot of real world reason why I would want to write something like this. So I'm going to head down to line 9, and I see that this says make a function that will take in 2 values, add them, and return the sum. So this is going to be our first chance entering parameters and arguments in a Python function. So I'm going to jump down a line. Again, because I'm defining a function, I'm starting with the word def. I'm just going to call it add, and then I'm going to have it take in 2 values. We'll call it num1 and num2. And then again, I'm ending it with a colon. Now, once again, when I jump down a line, you're going to see I'm indented in one level. And I could just return num1 plus num2, but so you see something a little different, I'm going to save this result to a variable and return the variable. Variables in Python do not come with any particular keyword. I don't need a let or a var. I don't need to declare the data type if you're someone coming from Java. I'm just writing the word sum, setting it equal to num1 plus num2. And then on the next line, I'm going to enter and make sure I'm tabbed over so I can return my sum. So again, both of these things are tabbed in so they are on the same level as one another, and both of them are under the definition at the same level. So again, if I hit run, I'm still only going to see hello world. So I'm going to drop down, and beneath this, I am going to once again print my add function. But this time I'm going to need to give it values to add. So I'm going to have it add 2 and 3 with the expected outcome of 5. And I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And you'll see that now it says hello world and it also says 5, which is perfect. Everything so far is running exactly the way we want it. All right, so we have one more that we are going to look at. This one wants us to make a function that will take an age and return if you are an adult, anyone over 18. A teenager, anyone who is over 13 but younger than 18, or a child, which is going to be anybody else. So this is going to be a function that needs a definition and is also going to have a little bit of conditional logic happening inside it. So once again, let's start off by defining our function, def. I'm going to call this age check. We could really call it anything. And I know that age check is going to need to take in the age of the person we are checking. So that is our parameter. I'm then going to put a colon and drop down a line. And once again, just take note of this white space. As we start adding our conditionals, this is going to become especially important. So on this line 18, I'm going to start by tackling the if you are over 18 logic. And as you've probably seen from other programming languages, it's just the word if. We don't use any of the parentheses that you might be familiar with in JavaScript or Java. So I'm just going to say if age is more than 18, return adult as a string. And then I'm going to jump down a line, and you'll notice this return is tabbed in twice because this return should only happen if this condition is met. So it is not only underneath the level of the function, it is also under the level of the conditional. So to write our next else if and else statement, I need to be tabbed in so I am on the same level as this conditional. Now, else if in Python, if you are not familiar, it looks a little different. It is an elif statement, which I know it looks so silly. I'm going to make sure that this tabs me correctly. I'm going to say elif the age is less than 13 and the age is more than 18. Return teenager. And I'm also realizing as I look at this, I want this age to be bigger than or equal to 18 to be an adult. So I'm just adjusting a little bit. So now I have two different return statements. Only one is going to get run depending on what part of this conditional they meet. I'm going to enter down one more line. I'm going to tab in to make sure I am in line with my conditional statement. I'm going to put in my else, and I'm going to make sure that the autocorrect doesn't try and think for me. My any other condition, my any other age is just going to return child. And again, I'm just checking my indentations. All my returns are 2 indentations under, and every conditional is just 1. Every single thing in here is underneath the function definition, and all the returns are underneath part of the conditional. So our last step is going to be to test this. I'm going to bounce down, I'm going to make a print statement, and I am going to type in age check, and let's try checking the age 65 first. Now when I hit run, it says adult. If I put in the age 17, it should say teenager. And it says child. Why does it say child? Let's see if we can figure this out. Oh, this is because I said and? No. Age needs to be less than 13 and the age needs to be bigger than 18. Let's try something different. Oh my god, I got it, guys. I completely turned this around. The age needs to be bigger than 13 and less than 18. And now it should tell me teenager. This is what happens when you're recording these videos on the weekend. Brain just right out the window. So now if I put an actual child appropriate age like 10, it should tell me child. And my teenage logic should work perfectly. So this language not immune to having logical fallacies. That's it for our little brief code along in writing functions in Python. Again, completely optional if you'd like to continue and try some of these challenges or look over some of these resources. Make sure that you are as comfortable as possible before this beginning of our session. And again, please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, guys. Bye.